Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
Radio Biafra is proud to launch its new mobile app. This app makes it easier for listeners to access live and repeat broadcasts at any given time. The app is available on Android and Apple stores and is free to install, so just search for Radio Biafra into all one word to get the app on your device.
Radio Biafra International broadcasts are always anchored on well-researched information and not based on personalities, frivolities, and foul languages. The main objective of Radio Biafra International is to empower Biafrans and give them knowledge through professionally delivered information, education, and enlightenment towards the ultimate goal of restoration of the nation of Biafra.
So don't forget, Radio Biafra into all one word.
And join us during our podcasts and you'll be glad you did.
Stop spending time with the wrong people. Life is too short to spend time with people who suck the happiness out of you. If someone wants you in their life, they'll make room for you. You shouldn't have to fight for a spot. Never ever insist yourself to someone who continuously overlooks your worth. And remember, it's not the people that stand by your side when you're at your best, but the ones who stand beside you when you're at your worst, that are your true friends. Stop trying to be someone you're not. One of the greatest challenges in life is being yourself in a world that's trying to make you like everyone else. Someone will always be prettier. Someone will always be smarter. Someone will always be younger. But they will never be you. Don't change so people will like you. Be yourself, and the right people will love the real you. Stop trying to hold on to the past. You cannot start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one. Stop being scared to make a mistake. Doing something and getting it wrong is at least 10 times more productive than doing nothing. Every success has a trail of failures behind it, and every failure is leading towards success. You end up regretting the things you did not do far more than the things you did. Stop getting involved in relationships for the wrong reasons. Relationships must be chosen wisely. It is better to be alone than to be in bad company. There's no need to rush. If something is meant to be, it will happen at the right time, with the right person, and for the best reason. Stop rejecting new relationships just because old ones didn't work. In life, you'll realize that there's a purpose for everyone you meet. Some will test you, some will use you, and some will teach you. But most importantly, some will bring out the best in you. Stop trying to compensate against things that are not there. And stop trying to compete against everyone else. Don't worry about what others are doing better than you. Concentrate on beating your own records every day. Success is a battle between you and yourself only. I just have to repeat this. This warrants a repeat. Stop trying to compete against everyone else. Don't worry about what others are doing better than you. Concentrate on beating your own records every day. Success is a battle between you and yourself only. Life is too short to spend time with people who suck the happiness out of you. If someone wants you in their life, they'll make room for you. You shouldn't have to fight for a spot. Never, ever insist yourself to someone who continuously overlooks your worth. And remember, it's not the people that stand by your side when you're at your best, but the ones who stand beside you when you're at your worst that are your true friends.
Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
Onye na-ebia na anya bịakwa osuna agụmbụ mmụọ onye na-egbu nkwụ onye na-eri aka isi ọ na-eme nwambe ejeghị na n'igbudu ihe niile na-eselite na ọdụka okola anụ anọrọ yo ihe niile na-eselite na ndụ ukwu na-abịa ike n'orimiri ihe niile na-eselite na awanite azụ ka nri ka ọ ya ejipụ ihe niile na-eselite na ụkwụ na-eje wala wala ihe niile na-eselite na anya na-aga awa n'ọfụlụlo ihe niile na-eselite na nwokenye nọ n'ụlọ egwu amụọ n'ọbụ ihe niile na-eselite na okwu ị na-asọ anya ojedu ya ekwu ihe niile na-eselite na ndị gbulala uliti n'ọsọ bakasị ihe niile na-eselite na rie m dala onunu na egwu emebe na ihe niile na-eselite na ọchụ nkụta ma na-ebuchi ụta ihe niile na-eselite na dibịa gwọrọ ọzọ ọzọ ọgburu dibịa ihe niile na-eselite na ọkụkọ tụjụ anụ onu enwelu ihe niile na-eselite na gbata dọla gbara ya na ife mebe ihe niile na-eselite na anyị agwụ ochi ntị na aga esu na ihe niile na-eselite na isi kote ebu na ọya gbe ihe niile na-eselite na esu mara ife tụwọ n'ugbo ihe niile na-eselite na oke agbanaghị ọdụ ele ya ọkụ ihe niile na-eselite na ụbana chọba ọnwụ obere ugo n'ọnụ ihe niile na-eselite na ọkụkọ ọcha jiri onwe ya egbe ihe niile na-eselite na aka nrụ isi ọnụ ihe niile na-eselite na isi baba n'ọya nụ ihe niile na-eselite na mbọsị niile bụ mbọsị onye ori ihe niile na-eselite na bana ofuke bụ mbọsị onye mụ ife ihe niile na-eselite na onye na-asị makwa ndị anyị bụ ihe niile na-eselite na nke kwelu ndụ n'ụbaka ihe niile na-eselite na nke siri na mbe anyị efe ọsa ya kpọọ ihe niile na-eselite na akụm nọ n'orimiri abara tụmba ihe niile na-eselite na Mbadabona
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Metalụ n'ezigbo dinta nọrọdụ nso.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Bakashi wo mmiri nyiri enyi.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Iyi riri ụgbana n'ọka nkụ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọ bụ osisi kwalụ nwada.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
A na-enwe ite ọgbọnyụ ọkụ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Eluru bịa n'ọfịa mgbadawala ọsọ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Agwọla ihe enu mgbere adaba enu.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Itebata ọba egwu atụba ji.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Oke Igbo chụsasịla anụ n'ọfịa.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ndesila anụ edolara ọbụla.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
N'ụlọ bịarube ndụlọ anọrọba ọnwụ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ma ndesi bakashi sela aka n'ụlọ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ụnọgbu ndị adịsa achụ efi.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ndị chọrọ ife ọma na.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Fụkwa ife ọma tire ya ọgbagala.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ndị edemede ma ndị okwuchukwu.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Unu chọọ ka anyị chiga n'afụfụ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ndị abụọ na-abịa chebe obodo a.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọ na-abịa idunye oke chekwaba azụ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ma ndị uwe ojii ma ndị uwe ọcha.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ụfọdụ ndị na-asụcha ndị orikwu.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Maka ndị na-akpọ mba dị n'uju ọnụ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Tiri ndị na-etu mba egwu adawo.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ama na nwanne nwe awụrụ na-ebi.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Onye ahụ jizi azụta nwa nke mmadụ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Nwadịa na-asị n'eke ghọrụkwa ubi.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Emeghị ife a na-egbu ubi.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
N'ọgọdọ kaba nke ọpụbi yọrọ iyọ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Atana ihe agwụ amụma oke.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Obodo a na-aghọ naanị ịkpa.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Na-eweruga ndị agha ekerie n'aka.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Esokwu ebe nwere ndị nkụgụ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọ dịrọ njọ na-enwere ndị nkụzi.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Okwu elighị izu na-ahịa ebi.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọ bụ osisi chọrọ ndụ pụrụ n'aja ọfịa.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
O dere mere obodo tọkwa ụtọ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọchịla ọfụma ya chi ọzọ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ogologo ọkpa na-ekwana.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Etielu ga-abịa n'ihi agba.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ekwegu n'ite ọkiri ekwelu ihe.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọbịa ka eji aja n'onye ọchịchị.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ife ọganiru adị na n'ime.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọ na-enwe ndị ụfụ obi na ndị nkwutọ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ndị asịrị nrịkọ mgbalụ osimiri.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ndị atụọ n'iru aghọrọ n'azụ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọ bịala onye ọnụ ọ bụrụ ụjọ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Egeji na ndị nna dị ntị n'onu.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọnụ nwoke na-ekwukwa onugwu.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọnụ nwaanyị na-ekwurugo.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọ bịara banye ego ọkazi enwe n'ọnụ.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Ọ kpakọta ya ata n'ọnụ ya.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
Onye sịla na adụ na mma. Anaghị ego ego ahụrụ n'azụ ya.
Ihe niile na-eselitela.
DJ Adamasa 2020. I take a piano bakola when on the lot before you became with you. Because when I stay safe, we must have corona by not money before one. Before what they say about holiday now. What can see that idea? I want to know before you became with you.
Biafra is proud to launch its new mobile app. This app makes it easier for listeners to access live and repeat broadcasts at any given time. The app is available on Android and Apple stores and is free to install, so just search for Radio Biafra into all one word to get the app on your device.
Radio Biafra International broadcasts are always anchored on well-researched information and not based on personalities, frivolities, and foul languages. The main objective of Radio Biafra International is to empower Biafrans and give them knowledge through professionally delivered information, education, and enlightenment towards the ultimate goal of restoration of the nation of Biafra.
So don't forget, Radio Biafra into all one word.
And join us during our podcasts, and you'll be glad you did.
War is hell. But war is also an incredible teacher, a brutal teacher. And it teaches you lessons that you will not forget. During an operation that I was in charge of, when all hell broke loose, we had multiple units out on the battlefield fighting the enemy. We had friendly Iraqi soldiers, we had U.S. Army soldiers and U.S. Marines, along with small elements of my SEAL team. And then the fog of war rolled in, with its confusion and chaos and mayhem, and with its gunfire and enemy attacks and screaming men and blood and death. And in that fog of war, through a series of mistakes and human error and poor judgment and Murphy's Law and just plain bad luck, a horrendous firefight broke out. But this firefight, it wasn't between us and the enemy. This firefight, tragically, was between us and us. Friendly forces against friendly forces. Fratricide. The mortal sin of combat. And the most horrific part of war. And when it was over, and the fog of war lifted, one friendly Iraqi soldier was dead, 2 more were wounded, one of my men was wounded, the rest of my SEALs were badly shaken. And it was only through a miracle that no one else was killed. And then I told them that there was only one person at fault for what had happened. There was only one person to blame. And that person was me. I am the commander. I am the senior man on the battlefield, and I am responsible for everything that happens. Everything. And I will tell you something. It hurt. It hurt my ego. It hurt my pride to take the blame. But I also knew. I knew that to maintain my integrity as a leader and as a man, I had to take responsibility. And in order to do that, I had to control my ego so that my ego did not control me. And when a team takes ownership of its problems, the problems get solved. And that is true on the battlefield, it is true in business, and it is true in life. So I say, take ownership. Take extreme ownership. Don't make excuses. Don't blame any other person or any other thing. Get control of your ego. Don't hide your delicate pride from the truth. Take ownership of everything in your world, the good and the bad. Take ownership of your mistakes, take ownership of your shortfalls, take ownership of your problems, and then take ownership of the solutions that will get those problems solved. Take ownership of your mission. Take ownership of your job, of your team, of your future, and take ownership of your life.
Africa, stand up. This is time for Biafrans. Great zone. Are you ready now?
Hey.
Obiam now. Get him.
Biafra, 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 who say we no go go? Who say we no go stand? Oh yes, when I am man, I go man, if I go back, go for you go no, Ojemba no, you go no. Nabu Biafra, Biafra, Nabu Biafra, Biafra, Nabu Biafra, Biafra, Nabu Biafra, Biafra,
we are heading to the promised land. So my brother better follow the ladder. The France are going higher. God they were back, we know they stagger. The fan now when I'm on saw. We move Biafra and hiding so. Fasting I never before so. But we just differ for our freedom. Every journey get it bust up. And this suffering must to stop. But easy. If you arrest me, must to free me. Every day we are getting busy. Biafra I can give my kidney. No more peace, no more wars, so that we can help the needy. And then I know what's PP. You could because today I'm at a geek, so that to you all the time.
Biafra, Biafra, Nabu Biafra, Biafra, Nabu Biafra, Biafra, Nabu Biafra, Biafra,
DJ Ojamasa 2020. I take a piano bakola when on the before you became with you. Because when I stay safe, we must have corona when of money from what they say about holiday now. What I see just the I want to know before you became with you, baby.
Obodi bati, ebi loge no to bati kaga, ibera wonu konete. Ayama ayama, soma ayama ayama, ola te gbogbo mube. Ayama, obodo ọgbama ụgbọ. Ezigbo dị mma agba, ihe dị mma na-agba n'okiti, nke dị njọ na-agba n'okiti, mmawa mmawa mmanwụ. Ebe mmanwụ obodo erika n'aka mmanwụ obodo. Omeso polisi, odibo omeso mo le mana le wanda, anyị ga-emeso ahụ, ọ na-abịa emeso were ụtụtụ ọhụrụ obodo kwuru. Ofe nwanyị ndị anụlụlụ ma obodo kama nwanyị dama mmọnwụ, obodo mmanụ ihe mere, isi ka taa ya n'ụtụtụ n'ụtọ n'ụtọ.
Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
Egwu abịa ọkụ si mee abịa nwunye Igbo nkwọ obodo ekene m unu Chineke na-enwesewo onu n'atọ anyị abịakwa egwu amala sekise ị na-alụ ọlụ n'ụwa onye na-alụ ọlụ jisi obi gị ike wee lụba na-alụ ọlụ jisi obi gị ike wee lụba ịmakwa emesịa dị ga-eliju afọ nwanne m ịmakwa emesịa dị ga-eliju afọ ma emesịa ị na-alụ ọlụ n'ụwa onye na-alụ ọlụ jisi obi gị ike wee lụba
wezuba. Wena lolu jisobi gige weluba. Imane mesa nige lijafo memesia. Imane mesa nige lijafo memesia. Inetie buono. Inetie bujisobi gige wetiba. Inetie bujisobi gige wetiba. Memesia nige lijafo memesia. Memesia nige lijafo memesia. Inetie buono. Inetie buono. Inetie bujisobi gige wetiba. Inetie bujisobi gige wetiba. Memesia nige lijafo memesia. Memesia nige lijafo memesia. Inaswapia nowa. Inaswapia nobodo. Inaswapia jisobi gige wezoba. Inaswapia jisobi gige wezoba. Memesia nige lijafo memesia. Memesia nige lijafo memesia. Inaswapia nowa. Inaswapia nowa. Inaswapia jisobi gige wezoba. Inaswapia jisobi gige wezoba. Memesia nige lijafo memesia. Memesia nige lijafo memesia. Ina-akọwa n'obodo, ina-anya ụgbọ n'ụwa, ina-akọwa jizi obi gị ike wee gbaba, ina-akwụ ụgbọ jizi obi gị ike wee gbọba. Ịmakwa emesịa na ị ga-eriju afọ ma emesịa, makwa emesịa na ị ga-eriju afọ ma emesịa. Ina-akọwa n'ụwa, ina-akọwa n'ụwa, ina-akọwa jizi obi gị ike wee gbaba, ina-akọwa jizi obi gị ike wee gbaba. Imane emesịa na ị ga-eriju afọ ma emesịa, imane emesịa na ị ga-eriju afọ ma emesịa.
Ama
Isieke,
Anaba Seke,
Isieke,
Seke, Isieke,
Isieke,
Aba Isieke,
Isieke,
Omelende na Seke,
Isieke,
Seke, Isieke,
Isieke,
Omendi na
Isieke,
Seke, Isieke,
Isieke,
Omaba na
Isieke,
Seke, Isieke,
Isieke,
Umuganu na
Isieke,
Seke, Isieke,
Isieke,
Obibo na Seke,
Isieke,
Seke, Isieke,
Isieke,
Seke, Isieke,
Isieke,
Aba Isieke,
Isieke.
Eyi, ọkụ o si mee o. Nsi na-abịa n'ala Igbo niile gba gburugburu. O nwee ndị na-eri eke, nwee ndị na-asụ eke. Nsi na amụwa akụkọ Igbo, ibe anyị Chukwu eze na ndị na-asụ eke nsọ o. Isieke,
Isieke,
Isieke o.
Isieke,
Seke, Isieke o.
Isieke,
Seke, Isieke o.
Isieke,
Ọba Isieke o.
Isieke,
Seke, Isieke o.
Isieke.
Nwayọ n'ije edewe ọtanjele.
Otebe ọtanjele anyị ga-agbakọ ya na be anyị. Ewere onwe gị nwa mmadụ eburu ọnụ were mmụọ. Oo, abalị ga-agba, dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Ei! Ọ ka o si mee nwaanyị Ọnịcha ka anyị gbapụrụ ya agbapụ. Welukwe nwayọ o. A sị m nwaanyị Ọnịcha eruo ọtanjele.
Otebe ọtanjele anyị ga-agbakọ ya na be anyị. Ewere onwe gị nwa mmadụ eburu ọnụ were mmụọ. Oo, abalị ga-agba, dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Igbo nkwa nwaanyị Ọnịcha edebe ọtanjele.
Otebe ọtanjele anyị ga-agbakọ ya na be anyị. Ewere onwe gị nwa mmadụ eburu ọnụ were mmụọ. Oo, abalị ga-agba, dị ga-alapụta m na
Onye
mmanya.
ọma na-ekwuru m ekwu ha.
Dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Abalị ga-agba.
Dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Ọzọ nze ekwe ndị Igbo.
Dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Ochi nwaanyị nkwọ.
Dị ga-alapụta m na
Onye
mmanya.
nwụrụ gị kaba ọzọ.
Dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Ochi nwaanyị nkwọ.
Dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Ọzọ na ndị Igbo.
Dị ga-alapụta m na
Onye
mmanya.
na-ekwuru m ekwu.
Dị ga-alapụta m na
Onye
mmanya.
nwụchi ekwe enyi nwa.
Dị ga-alapụta m na
Onye
mmanya.
nwụrụbaba anyị nwanne.
Dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Aka na-agba ọwa.
Dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Aka ị na-akpọ.
Dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Onye kwuru m ekwu ha.
Dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Onye na-eri eri na be anyị.
Dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Akpa mma ndị Igbo.
Dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Nwaanyị Ọnịcha edebe ọtanjele.
Otebe ọtanjele anyị ga-agbapụ ya na be anyị. Ewere onwe gị nwa mmadụ eburu ọnụ were mmụọ. Oo, abalị ga-agba, dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Hey! Ọ ka o si mee. Nwaanyị Ọnịcha eruo ọtanjele.
Otebe ọtanjele anyị ga-agbapụ ya na be anyị. Ewere onwe gị nwa mmadụ eburu ọnụ were mmụọ. Oo, abalị ga-agba, dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Nwaanyị Ọnịcha edebe ọtanjele.
Otebe ọtanjele anyị ga-agbapụ ya na be anyị. Ewere onwe gị nwa mmadụ eburu ọnụ were mmụọ. Oo, abalị ga-agba, dị ga-alapụta m na mmanya.
Eyi! Omenala. Kọlchọ. Ọ ka o si mee o. Vincent na ụmụ ojii na-alụkwa ka ogene m na-ada. Egwu amala sekise. Onye ọma ọ ga-adị na mma. Welie gaba ahụ. Ugochukwu nye gị mmadụ ama anapụrụ gị ya. Ụmụ Igbo niile je nwere omenala. Iyo!
Anyị enwere omenala.
Ụmụ Igbo ji anyị ewele omenala.
Iyo! Anyị enwere omenala.
Ụmụ Biafra Biafra ka iji do omenala. Omenala ndị Igbo nnebe omenala. Ise na ise ndị ise onye omenala. Ọzọ eze Igbo onye omenala. Ụmụ Igbo niile ga-ewere omenala. Ụmụ Biafra ka ijide omenala. Mmebe omenala ewere omenala. Oke n'ọgụgụ Igbo egwu omenala. Aga n'ọgụgụ Igbo aga n'omenala. Gbawasa n'Igbo onye omenala. Onye ma ọnwa anaghị eze onye omenala. Emeka Libati onye omenala. Ihe rieba n'ọka onye omenala. Libati ka ewere omenala. Iwere omenala imebe omenala. Egwu anyị na-eti n'ụwa egwu omenala. Egwu anyị na-eti n'ụwa egwu omenala. Ụmụ Igbo niile jide omenala. Ụmụ Biafra ndị omenala. Dede nwanne onye omenala. Nwazuka n'Ọka onye omenala. Nzilo dị n'ụlọ bụ onye omenala. Nwazuka si anyị ewere omenala. Akpama ndị Igbo bụ onye omenala. Ọnụ na-eri eri onye omenala. Dede nwanne onye omenala. Dede onye omenala. Ogene, ogene, ogene. Hey! Wabịa. Onye kụọ nke anyị kụrụ anyị akụ ọzọ. Ọ ka o si mee o. Omenala ka akara, omenala ka a ga na-eme.
DJ Ojamasa 2020. I think if you know Bakola when not all of them before you be with you. Because when I stay safe, wherever Corona virus money from what you don't want to see about holiday now. What can you get the idea? I want to know before you be with you, baby.
Empowering the people. Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
Yeah.
Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
Good morning, our listeners. Good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you are, all across the world. This is Radio Biafra International, brought to you by the Biafran Restoration Movement. Today is the 29th of August, 2020, and as usual, we have a couple of things, information to bring to our people, Biafrans, today. As usual, we are on different platforms. You can just Google Radio Biafra International, and then you can be able to have access to every other information in terms of channels to be connected to this wonderful radio. Before we get started, we would like to follow our usual tradition of prayer. And I want to, before I do that, I would like to apologize for the late start today. It was due to technical difficulties. As you all know, technical things are not just exactly perfect. There is nothing perfect on this earth. And, but we were able to surmount it eventually, and we are getting started now. So, as usual, we, as people of God, we are going to start with prayer unreservedly and unapologetically. We have to talk to our Maker, Him whom our hope is in, to deliver us from our situation, our dire circumstance as a people. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to live and to worship you. Thank you for your salvation, your provision of that salvation to humanity through Yeshua HaMashiach, through Lord Jesus Christ. We pray that our people may turn to thee completely, unreservedly, that they will serve you in spirit and truth, that they will renew the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the covenant you had with Israel, that it may be well with us. Touch their hearts, O Lord, that they might turn from any of their wickedness and leave, eschew idolatry, eschew all manner of vices or evil, that you might deliver us from the hands of our enemies. For we cannot deliver ourselves, and it is obvious we cannot. The forces against us are terrible. World powers, Islamic onslaught in different ways, and then the forces of also sin, the forces of transgression, against you and against your laws. Father, that this will end, we pray. We pray thee to help us. Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, because he has come and has redeemed his people. He has raised up a horn of salvation for us, as he said through his holy prophets of long ago. Salvation from our enemies and from the hand of all who hate us, to show mercy to our fathers and to remember his holy covenant, the oath he swore to our father Abraham, to rescue us from the hand of our enemies and to enable us to serve him without fear in holiness and righteousness before him all our days. Amen. This scripture was read from Luke chapter 1, from verses 68 to 75. And this was the prayer made by Zechariah, a man who prophesied and was filled with the Holy Spirit on the arrival of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior Yeshua HaMashiach, who came as light of the nations. That light came to us. And when he came to us through the gospel in Igbo land in 1857 from Opobo, where the first church was built in 1857, St. Stephen's, and he came up to Abo in 1867 and Onisha as well. And people like John Taylor, these were Igbo recaptives who settled in Sierra Leone. Reverend John Taylor came with Dr. Baiki, the person that is called Dr. Beke, that we fondly call Beke. Reverend John Taylor was the person who wrote the primer of Igbo Bible. And there was also Christopher Perry, who was there, and John Weeks. These were all Igbo descendants who came from Sierra Leone to bring the gospel to our people in 1857. That was when the first churches started. As at 1916, there were 2,099 Christians in Igbo land, 2,099 Christians. And today, we have seen ourselves, because we saw that light that was Jesus Christ. We began to build churches everywhere and schools. And we took to a lot of what we can call Western civilization. They got the light that was Jesus Christ and saw how he came to us. And as we often say, we need to take what is right and leave what is wrong. Everything about the British wasn't wrong, but they have done us grave wrong. Don't mistake that at all. They took us in slavery. They also imposed colonization and new colonization still on us. Yeah, but the church brought us the word, and that word was true. They didn't just bring that word as a deception. Even if they did, that word is also about us. And it has opened up the door to the knowledge of us. Christianity did not start in Europe. It came to them. It started in Israel. Yeshua was an Israelite, and he lived like an Israelite. And that message that he brought to humanity went to Europe. It didn't mean they didn't resist it. Of course, Rome persecuted Christians terribly. And not to talk about Islam, but you can see that that word conquered the Europeans, eventually gave them the light. But there is no doubt at all that the political system that of most of these nations became so corrupt, and that they decided to enslave others. And may I also say that for those who have scriptural knowledge, they must understand that God has used nations to punish nations. God uses war to punish nations, particularly Israel. For he said, through war and an exile will I contend with Israel. He will contend with us through war and exile. I will give you the verse of that later on. You can also Google that phrase, and you will see it in your phone, on your computer. Through war and exile will I contend with Israel. Just Google that, as they say. You will see that he will contend with us through war and exile. Most of us are in exile today. We have come from a war. And what is that contention? The contention is to go back to covenant with God. Deuteronomy 26, 27, and 28. You need to study it so you can understand why we must get back to what we're supposed to do to be free. Otherwise, our children and children will go on exile. Otherwise, I tell you today authoritatively from the word of God, Fulani will only oppress us the more. Our enemies will oppress us the more. Only if we were not Israelites would you have said that there would be another way out of this. Then it would have been believable, based on the scriptures. But that word, that scripture is supreme. People who go and decide to take just a part of it to suit their own interests, they are simply abusing it. To not work, people like to say sometimes, oh, well, you can see the scriptures were altered, this, that. Suddenly, the scripture says that everything that even Yeshua did was not recorded. And that it would have taken so many books to record what he did. So, but he said that what is recorded is enough for us to know the truth. What is recorded is enough for us to know the truth. So, those who say, well, there were things that were removed and all the rest of them, all these conspiracy theories and things like that. Yes, there was the Council of Nicaea. As at that time, the church wasn't what it is today, where it is mainly a political institution. No, the Council of Nicaea was different. It was just the bishops from different areas meeting together. Rome eventually took leadership of that council because Rome was the empire. And that is how you had the Roman Catholic Church. So let us also go to the word. Like I said, so many people died because of it, because they didn't want it to be published. But eventually, God of Israel, made sure that it was published and that this good message came to us. Today, we are going to discuss Nigeria, which is the issue, the problem that we have that is facing us as a people. Nigeria, the country, the contraption set up by the British, and is the more we know about it and broadcast about it, the more we win more friends. The more we also educate our people and empower them with this knowledge to understand why Nigeria cannot work, why this evil that the British did, that nobody puts his hope on it. That is the idea. It does not make sense at all to put your hope on such a contraption called Nigeria. It's a company, it was set up simply for the benefit and interest of the colonists. And it has been serving their interests up to today. But we have also second-hand colonists who had come into that geographical area, and they are called the Fulani. The Fulani are colonists. They are brutal and very wicked colonists, as we can see. And we are suffering from that double colonization. So in our Hero Declaration, Ojukwu talked about the forces that we are fighting against as Biafra. The forces of colonization, external colonization now is in an internal hatred. We're also fighting communism. Sorry about that. Excuse me. We're also fighting communism. And we're also fighting the Arab world, Islam. These are forces against us. I'm telling you, these are heavy forces that determine things that go on around the globe. Yes, the forces of colonization, the West, Western Europe in particular, and their interest. It has affected the world so much. And there's a time where a third of the world was colonized, and even more than a third of the world was colonized, probably up to 2/3 or something very close to 65%, exact. And, and these forces of colonization came from Western Europe, not Eastern Europe, Western Europe. And as we can see, they still, are in control. They're still very dominant in world politics today, in global politics. They control the waterways. They influence nations. If you go to the Revelation, it talks about the beast. People say it's EEC. I believe that because beasts are driven by their appetite. Just appetite. That's it. To consume, to kill, to ravage. And that is what beasts do. And this is what these nations have done to so many nations of the world. They influence politics, internal politics in so many nations, which are still being colonized, actually. They may not be colonizing politically, but they're colonizing economically. They influence who becomes what, the president and whatever policies of nations. They install leaders who give them access to resources in their land, as you have in Nigeria, the British is doing in Nigeria. They are not concerned about the people they're exploiting. That is a very beastly characteristic. And we can see that happening over the world. Spain, France, Portugal, these are nations, and Britain, these are nations that led in the ravaging of the world for resources, for their appetite. And then they still call them third world. That is the label they use, particularly in Western media, third world. Third world that you ravage. Third world that you have depended on for your survival. Third world that you are so callous that you don't care about the people who are there, who live there. And it's because they ravage and unsettle this government. That is why you have migration from so many parts of the world, even to the West, to Europe, to America, to France. And when people are coming there, they're having problems with them. Why are they coming to Europe? Why are they know why they're coming. They know that they unsettled them in where they are. They know they are benefiting from resources from all those places. If they have left those people, they would have developed on their own. They wouldn't have had any need coming to London or coming to United States or coming to France or so on. But the foreign policy of these nations have been very unkind to different parts of the world. They are the most powerful nations in the world. But as everything is, I tell you, the kingdom of God surely comes and it will defeat them. It will defeat them. And while this is going on, we have to understand a lot of things happen, willingly or inadvertently, because they are also contesting amongst themselves. They are contest for dominance and power. So when we understand that, we can understand the dynamics of what is going on. The problem is that there is no concern, no humanitarian concern over the nations where these resources are coming from. They just, they just don't care. What you see on TV is like somebody taking 20 naira from you and giving you 1 kobo in front of the camera as a gift, humanitarian gift. That is what it all looks like. It's a lie, because they are taking more. In Nigeria, oil is not accounted for. But thank God, we are looking forward to alternative sources of energy, which will collapse that contraption finally. Because when the alternative source of energy is fully used, the price of oil will drop completely. When it drops, then I will know what all these crooks who are in governance, so-called politicians in Nigeria, what they will do. They will just have to find something serious to do for their life, rather than being professional politicians who simply squander and embezzle public funds while being puppets to neo-colonist forces and imperialist forces against their own people. That is the problem of Africa. But there is also very strong leaders who are emerging in Africa, as we can see in Rwanda after the genocide in 1994, in which within 3 months, up to 1 million people, mainly Tutsis, were massacred by the Hutu, due to ethnic bitterness, and which also are engendered by colonists. They do that because the borders of Africa were drawn by these colonists. We all know about the 1884 Berlin Conference. There was no reason why they should have drawn those borders. They have no right to draw those borders. But you see those borders drawn where people who are incompatible in language, in culture, in social disposition, in religion, in all forms of ways of living, they are disparate ethnicities and ethnic nations. But they were forced together because Europe was not concerned about their interests. They were simply concerned about the interests of the resources in Africa. It is time to be able to educate the world about this problem that people are having, so that if it is possible the Western nations can begin to consider consider their foreign policy and make it a lot better. They need to make it a lot better for people, other parts of the world to survive like them. You don't just take and enjoy democracy and you don't want others to. Why would you, after an election, representatives and ambassadors are bribed to come out and say that the election was free and fair, when everyone knows that that election was nothing close to being free and fair, that it was simply undermined with unruly and various violations, electoral violations. That is not democracy. A democracy that is not transparent, a democracy that is not accountable, is no democracy. And that is what we see being practiced in Nigeria. And this is a big problem. Right from independence, we all saw how in 1960, the British, eventually a colonist, an official of the British government, then in 1959, Mr. Smith has confessed that indeed they rigged the election against the NCNC. And you saw how Tafawa Balewa eventually, how they rigged the ones in 1964 and 65, both regional and national elections in 1965. And that became a problem. How the North refused that other parties should campaign or even have offices in the North. This is the type of relationship Nigeria has had right from the beginning. That is why we say it's unworkable. And it's happening to getting worse till today. Why are you still believing in Nigeria? Why are you still believing in something that cannot work? Even Lord Lugard himself described the mixing of this type like oil and water, the North and the South. He said they will never mix. So why are you believing it? The people who created it are telling you the same thing. Yet today, we have people who still want to believe that Nigeria will be one or should be one. Should be one to your detriment. How is Christianity one with Islam? Go and check Sharia law and check the scriptures, these Christian scriptures, and you see the opposition that is there. So not after all this knowledge, we are still, somebody still angling to be a Nigerian. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for your children in future, by the way? And you are pushing your children into hell, into a tragic future, which you know is not going to work, but you are still saying Nigeria. And then when they are born, what do you tell them? You tell them they are Nigerians, and they will believe that? What is your love for those children? You tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. And we should not continue to remain untruthful to ourselves and to others and claim that we are Christians, for example. That's a lie. You're not a Christian because you are playing tricks. You're a liar. The Bible didn't say Christians play tricks and lie. No, it called the devil the liar, and those who are his children lie like him. So, when you do that, if you claim you're a Christian, you're just a label. You're not one. I tell you, it doesn't matter whether you go to church and pray and so on. Those things are simply self-deception. It is time for you to start. The reason why you have darkness and why it's ravaging this world is because Christians keep pretending. They are pretenders of the first order. They don't stand up and speak the truth. Even if you can't speak it, stand for it. Stand for it. Nobody, if it is too risky for you, that's okay. We can understand that. But it doesn't mean that within you don't support what is right. And what is not right is Nigeria. It is not right. The Christians in the Middle Belt and the North, they've been undergoing onslaught of Islamic onslaught, Islamic jihad. They've been victims of this ferocious and ravenous assault, invasion from Muslim jihadists since 1804 till today. And it's been ravaging that area and costing a lot of innocent lives. And that is why we go to the root cause of these problems. The root cause is Islam. They don't stop, people say, oh, well, the herdsman came somewhere and they were, doing their thing, and then some other people attacked, and they were like, no, the root cause is Islam. And you can see how bold even some Fulani people are. That's why we tell you you're dealing with very highly unreasonable. They are brainwashed. Their forces of darkness is with these people. That is why you see them, despite all their violations of other people in their own land, they're still talking. They're still claiming that they are the ones who are being violated. Look at them all over the continent, trouble everywhere, wherever Fulani is. Yet, Fulani is telling you that you shouldn't say that they are criminals, that they are the ones who are victims here. You see that type of lie? That is lying like the devil. Lying like the devil. People who go and kill and rape, afterwards they will even put it on video and spread it around, upload it for you to see. They use a knife to cut somebody's head. This is what Islam teaches. Do you want to live in that kind of environment, that kind of society? That's what Sharia law says, though. Already 19 states in northern Nigeria has already instituted Sharia law. It's right there. They have already instituted it. And we are witnesses of that. So today, I want us to discuss a little bit about the origins of the Islamic onslaught and the Christian North. The origins of the Islamic onslaught in the Christian North. We all know, we've heard, and let me quote something very important that the former deputy governor of the central bank, Obadiah Mailafia, said regarding the violence in Southern Kaduna. And the violence is everywhere, not just Southern Kaduna. And who are causing the violence? The Muslims. They are the Fulani people in particular. Boko Haram and most Fulani. These are terrorist organizations. How many organizations do the terrorist organizations, the Christian groups have? Have you heard of any? I have not. It's only them, the Muslims, that organize, and then they invade people's land, the land that is not theirs, and they attack people. That is the history of Islam. We have done that history in a couple of programs here for us to understand that no people are such much of troublemakers and land grabbers like these Islamic radicals. They are everywhere. They don't want people to rest. They want what is yours, want your land, want your women, want everything, your resources. That is the way. And then when they take it, they will just completely ruin the whole thing. That is of no use. Look at their countries. Look at their world, how unsettled it is. It's always war. Because that is what they get from the religious ideology, the doctrines of the religious ideology. That's what it teaches them. So the Christians, particularly those in the Middle Belt and those in the South, you need to, have a sort of decision whether you still want to be Nigerian or you want to go and to dissolve that unholy union and go your way. That is the way out. Too many people have died already. And those of us who are suggesting that it's by keeping quiet, that it will go away, let me tell you the truth. Go and check the history of Islam. 1,400 years is all trouble, all wars everywhere, fighting against the quote-unquote infidel. So if you're hoping that by keeping quiet, it will go away, we're telling you, take a look at the history of this, by the way, before you can make that conclusion, so that you can understand the basis with which you're making that conclusion. I'd like to say what Obadiah has said here. I'll make some quotations from Obadiah and Reverend Gideon Paramalam. But let me make from Obadiah first, then we go into a little bit of history of what has been going on in the Middle Belt. The deputy governor said recently, says, let me make some revelations, because some of us also have our own intelligence network. We have met with some of the bandits. We have met with some of their high commanders, one or two who have repented. They can repent. They are human beings indeed. Otherwise, I couldn't believe those people are human beings. You classify them as subhumans, animals, because that's what they acted like. He says, they have sat down with us, not once, not twice. They told us that one of the northern governors is the commander of Boko Haram in Nigeria. One of the northern governors is commander of Boko Haram. And I think that reference is to Omar Sharif, who was a former governor of Borno State. And not just that, one of the northern governors or commanders. This was Obadiah Mailafia, the former deputy governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, quoted in Vanguard News of Sunday, August 23rd, 2020. But I would like to say that it's not only that one of the northern governors, and 19 states of the north have implemented Sharia law. The Sharia criminal code goes against the constitution of Nigeria. It does not work. And that's why we say that Islam cannot work with democracy, human rights, rule of law, equity, equality, justice in a certain, their own sense of justice is different from our own sense of justice. You see that? So they don't believe in a secular society where everybody is allowed to, everybody is free to exercise their belief as Christians or whatever religion, where there's freedom of religion. They don't believe in that. And why do we say so? They don't believe in that because if you go to Christian, most predominantly Christian nations, you have a lot of mosques there being built in those places. But in predominantly Islamic areas, you have virtually no Christian churches. They actually make laws against them. I remind you again that in the United States of America, there are 2,100 mosques, approximately. In the United Kingdom, there are 1,500 mosques. In France, there are 2,300 mosques. In Israel, which is geographically very small, tiny, you have 400 mosques. In Italy, there is 2,200 mosques. In Belgium, a small city too, you have 380 mosques. So, but in Saudi Arabia, there are no churches, not one. Not only that, he said the public practice of any form of religion other than Islam is illegal, as is an intention to convert others. That is, you had an intention to convert others. You might end up in the chopping block where they chop off hands and heads, He says, so they say, oh, well, we accept the private practice of religion. That means just stay there with yourself, other than Islam. And you can bring religious texts into the country as long as it is for your personal use. So you hide it, No Muslim country allows Christianity to proselytize freely. The penalty for that is death. In Dubai has this reputation of, a place that is a little free, where there's liberalism, fundamental human rights are respected. So look at in Dubai, the supposedly most tolerating of diverse cultures and people. That's what is being bandied about by the media, about this is an Arab nation, so it is supposedly the most diverse, and freest Islamic nation. You have in Dubai, you're free to pray, but don't try to convert anybody. So, or that will get you into serious trouble. So we have seen that this is the problem. Let us call it out what it is, and then know what to do. Know what to do. For those of you who are Christians in northern Nigeria, who still believe in one Nigeria, this is not the way to go. You have a decision to make. which you must make, or you dwell with the trouble and hand it over to your children. That's as simple as that. You either make a decision for a separation, or you bequeath the problem to your children. It's as simple as that. Yeah. And they may not succeed in trying to protect themselves, because you don't know what will happen to them in the next 50 years, next 40, 50 years, 60, 70 years. Yes. Yes. Look at them. They've invaded your lands already, right before you. What will happen to your children? What will happen to the next generation over there if you don't make certain serious decisions now on what to do? That is what we are looking at. And you cannot say that what we are doing is unreasonable. What I'm saying here, how is that unreasonable to you? How can that be unreasonable to anybody? That people are trying to protect themselves. What makes it unreasonable, for goodness sake? The wrong thing about our people too that we do, which I think is a very demonic influence, is that when people are oppressed, you do not condemn that oppression. You tend to condemn the oppressor. This is not of God, I'm telling you. Check what is in you. On Sunday, they all go to church. What are you doing in that church? When you go there, you know that you are, quiet over evil because you're afraid of it. That what God told you to be afraid of evil, and then keep quiet on it. And then when you see somebody who is complaining, the victim, you are so bold, you are so brave to tell them what they're doing wrong. But you are not brave enough to tell those who are doing wrong what they're doing. Check yourself, and you call yourself a Christian. I keep saying it. Sin is sin, including the sin of the governments. Governments of this world. That's why God will punish them. The sins of the governments of this world is sin as well. It is condemnable because it causes a lot of oppression, and it brings a lot of exploitation and death to so many people all around the world. It took me a while growing up before I understood that poverty is caused by somebody sitting in one office with suit and tie. Let me just put it that way. People who have command of authority, political authority, people who have command of economic power, they are the ones. And it's always within the government structure and system that you see them. By a stroke of the pen, they will make policies that punish people, punish one group and favor another. They make policies that exploit people. Look, slavery was a policy made by governments of Europe. People sat down in offices and decided this. Colonization, we told you about 1884, people sat down in offices and decided it. They are looking good, looking smart, but they made laws that affected millions of people in such harsh ways that is unbelievable. That when we see it, we cannot believe that this happened. When somebody captures millions of people and moves them across the ocean, most of them, up to 75 days across the Atlantic Ocean. Children, girls, boys, because usually the young that are captured, they don't capture the old who die quickly. It's not good for business. These are the children and the young. And then they split them from their families. Can you imagine the trauma when you put yourself in that situation? You need to, that's how we understand these things. Put yourself. There's nothing, it could have been you that happened to. Imagine the trauma. You will not even believe, you will not know what is going on because you'll be asking yourself, is this happening? It will be surreal to you, I'm telling you. And then dump you somewhere eventually after 75 days. Tired, haggard, despondent, in melancholy, so low-spirited, in doldrums. You don't know what to do, don't know where to go. You wish you would die. And then they hand you over to one master. When you begin to serve that master, who will whip you. If you're a woman, they will take advantage of you. They started raping them right from the coast of Africa all the way to the Americas and Europe. If it's a girl, they will take advantage of her. even the boys as well. So, and this happened for almost 300 years. 300 years in most parts of the world. More than 300 years. Slavery was 450 years. So let's say it happened for 450 years. That's the exact number. It only grew in scope as time went on. But let's say 450 years. Nearly half a millennium. That's when what happened to Africans. And up to today, we don't reason and ask ourselves, why is it that this has happened to us? That is why I say we will be delivered by God, but we will have to look inward to know what we're doing wrong so we can change from it. Deliverance is surely coming from the hand of God. So let's look at Nigeria and how the British came. Because after the slavery came colonization. They divided Africa up amongst themselves. Hey, you have this one part, you have this or the other part. And then they went in and began to ravage the place and exploit the place. Till today, as I'm speaking, most corporations you see that are in Africa are Western corporations. They're uncountable, the number of them that is busy digging minerals, digging resources of all kinds. How many African companies are in the West taking anything? You can't take a pin, I'm telling you. You don't even think it. You don't even think it. And we are simply answering them, sir, ma'am, everywhere in Africa. Africa is still held in prison by the Europeans, Western Europe. And the problem is not just that they want resources, but it is at what expense? Some expenses that are so callous and vicious at the cost of so many lives of the people. That's wickedness beyond measure. That's what we see when certain countries, in the name of foreign relations, because that's what they call it. That's what you're hearing, foreign relations. Yeah. This person is our partner, your partner. Partner means he's the one he's getting the stuff from. That's it. There is no human faith, no humanity that you see in what they are doing. You're taking resources from a people, and then you go and support another people to give you leeway towards give you access to those resources. And those people that are your proxies down there are oppressing and killing the other people. That's exactly what is happening in Nigeria. The British have alliance with Fulani to steal our oil. That is exactly what is happening. And it's time that how we will do it, I'm telling you, is to speak about it. It's not to run away from it. It's not going to work. What you do is to broadcast it everywhere in the world. British people, they're human beings too. They will see it. They will read it. They will question their MPs. Because we're not saying that you shouldn't take resources from us. Why kill us? Are you not callous? Are you not wicked? Is that not satanic of you to decide to kill the people themselves because you want resources? That's why they are described as the beast in Revelation, the book of Revelation. Beasts, beastly nations of this world. God is against them. They will see. So you will speak up on it. Let the British citizens themselves know exactly what's happening, because the citizens don't know. These foreign policies are drawn up in offices, high offices in government, and is implemented. Most citizens don't have a clue what is going on. But when you speak about it, when you talk to your friend, when you talk to your school friend, when you tell them, look, I am here in London because the British is taking my oil so callously, and he would not even help me. He joins the Muslims to kill us. Tell them exactly what is happening. Don't keep your mouth shut. Because when you keep your mouth shut, people don't know what is happening to you. But talk. Wherever you are, at workplace, share it with them. They'll be glad to know that. I'm telling you. And when they know that, they begin to question, is that true? What is going on? They will give that their MP, their representatives in the House, the parliament, lawmaking body of their country. They will give them hell. Yes, Because each time they're seeing you, you're reminding them that you are like a prisoner. That you, even though you are in foreign here with them in London or in the United States or whatever, that it is their government that made your life a living hell. That it was done deliberately. They need to change those policies. They can reform those policies, I'm telling you. They'll still get what they want, but allow the people to live. Why are you supporting evil? Why put a dictator on top of everybody else? That's what you see in Latin America, in Asia, in Asia. They put one dictator there who gives them access to resources. And that's all. That dictator will now oppress the rest of the people. Then they migrate to Europe. And you're talking about people are migrating. Why? It's because of that dictator. The same experience that Nigeria has had. The same experience that so many countries across Central and South America, from Mexico all the way down. I was surprised to learn that in Mexico, 75% of the banks are owned by Americans. Can you imagine that? Go to see the oil companies in these countries. They are controlled by ExxonMobil. Yeah? Chevron. They are there. ELF. Google and find out how many nations that these companies are in. Check other oil companies that are exploiting bauxite, coltan, all kinds of silicon, and see where they are excavating and obtaining those resources, mineral resources, and see how those countries are. That the people do not benefit from it. So foreign policy of these nations is a big problem. And it is their citizens that have to be able to question them. That is why, don't think that when you talk to one person, it's a waste. I'm telling you, you don't know the power you have as a person when you talk to one person. One person alone. You can imagine if everybody does it. That'll be the talk of the day all over the world. And it's coming up gradually because people are talking. People are speaking up. They need to change it because this world is not meant for just one group to live. And other people have the right to live in peace. I have a right to live in a peaceful democratic, under a peaceful democratic government. Why is it that when Biafrans are killed, the British government or British media does not announce it? Why is it that when Biafrans are killed, you don't see it announced even by the American media? Because the Nigerian government is bribing the government and they're looking the other way. This is a big problem. So since they're bribing the government, you can talk. I'm telling you, you have power to counter that. We have, even prayed and asked for lobby and people who have money that they can do it anonymous and so on and so forth. But know that you have power. Sometimes the way God will save us is a simple way. Very simple. But it's just that we don't do it. Or we don't even know. But it is the grace of God that has come to us that we're able to know. Versus if we don't know, we stay in that. People do not talk. I'm telling you. They don't talk about their problems. They just keep quiet. They are taciturn. They are reticent over their afflictions. They are reticent over, their tribulations. No. They should begin to discuss these issues and talk about them. Those who have platforms, whether it's in academic institutions, on social settings of all sorts, you speak about it. That is how the world knows. When you speak about it enough, because why they are doing this and they are comfortable with it is because they believe people don't know. Once you expose something that's bad, I'm telling you, things begin to happen. And it's our job to expose it. So this exploitation came about by, in terms of our own land, when the British came to Nigeria, which is, they created the Nigeria. It came to that area of West Africa. It's calling that name Nigeria because it is a name that has brought us so much pain and sorrow as a people. I would like to discuss about Jos, the city of Jos, that we know certain things. And I'll just use Jos as an example of how the British came in and took over the place. And why? Because there was some form of resources in that area of the world. They came in and took over the place. And not just Jos, also the East, places like Enugu and Lagos, of course, and so on and so forth. The seaports are great resources towards trade. So they were fighting amongst themselves. Those who took part in slavery, when the slavery ended, they were fighting for different regions in Africa, in Asia, and in South America and Central America for lands and different islands in the seas, in the Pacific, and so on and so forth. And up to today, they still bear their names. They're fighting amongst themselves for those resources. But where is the consideration for the people who own the land? That is the point that we're raising here. So the city of Jos has a population of about 900,000 residents. That was by 2006 census, which was, but by now it should be about, let's say, 2 million residents. During British colonial rule, Jos was an important center for tin mining in the trading, and it is the trading hub of the state as commercial activities are steadily increasing. The earliest known settlers of the land that will come to be known as Nigeria were the Nok people. They said they were there probably about 1000 BC. I doubt that it would go that far back. Skilled artisans from around Jos area who mysteriously vanished in the late first millennium. Yeah, they mysteriously vanished. The Nok people. Part of it is either they died out of war or disease, or maybe they moved or migrated to some other places, because in those days people move around. There was no, this is my country, that is your country. There were no countries at all. It was simply a free world where people migrated from one point to the other, however they wanted. So the British colonies used direct rule for the indigenous ethnic groups in Jos Plateau, since they were not under the Fulani Emirate, where indirect rule was used. The Fulani Empire controlled most of northern Nigeria, except the Plateau province and the Berom, Nwagavu, the Angas, that is the Gowans people, Tiv, Jukun, and Idoma ethnic groups. Yeah. So, but the Fulani had already taken over most of northern empire or northern Nigeria, but he couldn't subject these people under its control. The Berom, the Nwagavu, the Angas, the Tiv, the Jukun, and the Idoma ethnic groups. It was the discovery of tin by the British that led to the influx of other ethnic groups, such as the Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, those making Jos a cosmopolitan city. So, Ames, the British colonial administrator, said that the original name for Jos was Wash, which was a village situated at the current site of the city. According to Ames, the Hausa wrongly pronounced Wash as Jos, and it's stock. So we can see it's Wash, Gwosh, Wash. That is what the people who own the land called it. The Berom, I believe, but the Hausa couldn't say Gwosh, so they said Jos. So that's how we took the name. The name stuck, and then they begin to. It happens all the time, due to linguistic differences. When pronunciations change and is adopted by a dominant either political power or cultural power, or even a significant one, once they begin to write it on paper, like the British that came in and they said Jos, and they begin to write it in the administrative system. He entered the administrative system. It became that. So the name was adopted, Jos. It grew rapidly after the British discovered vast tin deposits in the vicinity. Both tin and columbite were extensively mined in the area up until the 1960s. Up until the 1960s. And how did this happen? Wow. They were transported by railway to Port Harcourt and Lagos on the coast, then exported from those ports. Jos is still often referred to as Tin City. It was made capital of Benue Plateau in 1967 and became the capital of the new Plateau State in 1975. So, tin mining has led to the influx of migrants. Eventually, it was this tin mining that led to the influx of migrants. Today is inhabited predominantly by Christian communities. He said, but clashes have occurred between Christians and Muslims. In September 2001, riots occurred in Jos between the divided Christian and Muslim populations, in which about 1,000 people were killed. Now, the demographics of Jos is very important to look at the origin of Jos demography. We are seeing here that tin mining is what attracted a lot of people, including Igbos and Yoruba and Hausa people, to come there. This is a land of the Baron people, the Nwagavul people, the Angas people, Tiv were neighbors, and Jukun as well, and Idom. All these areas are neighbors. They are Benue, and we need to talk about Benue Plateau as being one region. But Jos was mainly the Baron people that owned it. And with the discovery of tin was a very important mineral, and the British saw it, they needed it, and they came for it. Let us see how you had these migrations. We will go back a little bit to this tin mining, because tin mining was discovered there around between 1700 and 1750. It's like 300 and almost 300 years ago, to say, just about 300 years ago. In Kuza, near the river channel, Kuza, see? That's when so tin mining began to develop in local villages, and trade occurred with those who came from Tripoli and crossed the Sahara. The tin would be melted and made into rods. By 1760 to 1770, there were 13 indigenous blacksmith smelters in Naraguta. This city is located just north of Jos. The Baron ethnic group were finding and producing tin along the Delimi River. For the ethnic Hausa traders, tin became popular during the Industrial Revolution in Europe. See, Industrial Revolution was in the 1700s and 1800s. So the tin traced from Tripoli came to the Bauchi Plateau, 200 miles from Jos. So because tin was very important, they will mine this, the locals will mine it. They will take it to Bauchi, Hausa traders will take it to Bauchi Plateau. From there, it moves up north across the Sahara into Mediterranean, all the way to Europe. You see? So Bauchi Plateau is like 200 miles from Jos. So they used animals to travel in those days. The Hausa traders did not want people to know the original source of things, so that is why they put the buying center in Bauchi. You see? In 1808, Clapperton from Britain traveled 3 months across the Trans-Sahara to find smelters in Naraguta. This is British people. You know, that's why when they talk about exploration, what were they exploring for? What was the reasons? What are the motivations between exploration? Exploration is the exploration for resources. That's it. To empower themselves, and they succeeded in doing that in most parts of the world. You know, we just call them explorers, but we failed to find out exactly why they were exploring. What were the motivations behind exploration? So in 1808, Clapperton from Britain traveled 3 months across the Trans-Sahara to find smelters in Naraguta. And these people are very brave. They're brave people. To travel 3 months across Sahara in 1808. Most of our people won't try that. If you tell them, come, let's go and travel across Sahara, they tell you what? You know, is that I don't have something important to do that I will go there? You know, it's a mindset. And this is that mindset that is also affecting us regarding the issues of Biafra today. Oh, do you want war? Oh, this is going to be terrible. How are you going to handle it? This, that. So if you don't want to handle it, then you stay and be oppressed. That's what it means. And you will still die. Oh. Let me tell you, these people who are coming are not going to spare you or your children. So stop this thinking of that, oh, well, because you kept quiet, it means you're wise. You know, there is quietness that is stupidity. I'm telling you. There is quietness that is foolery, which is what some of us as people are doing. I've said you should get involved in an organization that is fighting for your freedom because you are not free. It is evident you are not free. So why are you keeping quiet? Do you ask yourself, look, Socrates said, self-examination, a life that is not examined is life not worth living. Self-examination is what we should introspect. Ask yourself the question, why are you not acting? Why are you not joining your time union or any organization to fight for your freedom? Why? Who will fight it for you? That's another question that makes sense. These questions are not just ramblings. These are questions that you have to ask yourself. And please don't mind my rising tone. Like I said, this is my passion. So don't mistake passion for aggression. Okay? If we didn't love our people, we will not be doing this. We'll all spend our time too and do certain things on our own. And, you know, just like some of you do. You know, like, this is not important. You know, I have more important things to do. You know what I'm saying. We will use that. We can act that way ourselves. But we know that it doesn't make sense at the end of the day. At the end of the day, all of us will cry. So we're asking you, what are your reasons for not being active in your town union meeting or in any Biafran group or in any group that you want? You form your own if you have to form your own and contribute to the struggle for your freedom. Not fighting for your freedom does not make you wise at all. I'm telling you. And what brought me up is how this clear pattern, the British will send them, somebody cross the ocean. Check the mileage. That is why the ship will travel 75 days during slavery. From the United States to the coast of West Africa. Check how many nautical miles it is. Somebody will do that to come and slay somebody else. Of course, that's why he's ruling over you. That's why he's ruling over you, because he's thinking beyond himself. Clay Patton has to take 3 months to cross the Trans-Sahara. Yeah. If it's our people, they say, Kedifo Jereba Hime in the first place. Or when you see Kedifo Jereba Hime, you know, this mentality, and this is the problem. That's why I say, particularly the Igbo. Our cultural philosophy needs to change. If we don't change our cultural philosophy, we will be on the receiving end of this oppression in such a bad way. We will cry out, God Almighty. Right now, only few of us are doing it. More need to do so, because it is God that will open your eyes to begin to see why you should think differently. We give excuses for everything that we're supposed to do for our own survival that we don't. Now, Baraka, Chief and Ataro. They just something. Why must you keep saying now Baraka, Chief and Ataro, and then you're doing nothing? You know, so we have to begin to take our philosophy. We say we and we acted. We acted because we say that all the time. We believe this subconsciously. That is why when you talk about Biafra, somebody's asking you, what type of question is that? Somebody is being oppressed. He's talking about the oppression. You are questioning the person who is being oppressed, whether he wants trouble. Are you not wicked? Are you not wicked? This is what has made our leaders not to be bold enough to fight for their freedom in the past. Because they are calculating about their people. Blame. We are so good at blaming. Oh, you know, why did he do this? Why did he do that? Why he shouldn't have done it this way? What did you yourself do? So the question is, we have to question yourself. What did I do to help? I keep saying that most of us died, 2 million of us that died during the war. It happened because we did not act in time. That is one strategy that you need. And it happened also because people, why the delay was there, Madiebo confirmed in his book, and I've quoted it several times in this radio, That so many people were there giving excuses why they shouldn't fight. Excuses. Always excuses. In the name of Amamife. Amamife. You might have done 2 million one, and it would have been worse than 2 million because they were coming there to finish everybody. Or we think that killing would have stopped without that fighting? It would have continued. They wanted to exterminate you. That anger and hatred has not changed. And stop thinking that it will change tomorrow. Unless those people receive Christ, I'm telling you, unless they accept God in their heart, that hatred remains for you. So the idea of pretending that, oh, if I don't do anything, let me tell you the truth. The 6 million people that died in Germany, in Eastern Europe, that's 67% of European Jewry during the Second World War. They died because they were obeying a government that they knew that this government would, no matter how much you pretend, they knew this government would, because it was already starting killing them. Some of them were sick. Others were telling others who want to react, oh, don't react. Yeah, if you react now, it will be, why are you not wise? Be wise. Be wise and not, 6 million just now like that because you're being wise. And let me tell you, if those 6 million said we're not going to just die like that, yeah, they would have slaughtered them and killed them. They may have killed 500,000. But let me tell you what will happen. 5.5 million would have been alive. But that is not also to say that other people will not come and blame others who said fight because that 500,000 died. You see how it works? Yeah. One person that, oh, you are the cause. That's Indigo for you. One person that, oh, yes, you are the cause. Why don't you go there first? Why don't you do all this type of, negative philosophy? Make it rather than you to go and face your God and stand up against your enemy. You don't do that. You are waiting for someone to stand up for your enemy for you. How does that? The one that stood up, not standing up and stand. You are badging them left and right and center, rather than the opponent, the person who is violating you. We must begin to examine ourselves and introspect ourselves. I walked into a place and I talked about Biafra. Somebody told me, asked me, oh, it's all go. That's you want fight? Can you imagine? And I asked him, I said, what makes me, who is being oppressed, the person who wants trouble, for crying out and being oppressed? Can you imagine that? People are giving suggestions worshiping Amadioha. Stop worshiping Ogugu. Stop worshiping Edo. Stop worshiping Kamanos. Stop worshiping. It's enough of that idolatry which has provoked our Lord God to anger. It is time to worship the God of Israel through Yeshua HaMashiach and be ready to fight. Don't be afraid of any war. It is that God that will give you the strength to fight your enemy when he comes. And I'm telling you, he will deal ruthlessly with them. I'm telling you, he will deal ruthlessly. You haven't seen anything yet. Because they don't have fear of God. These people are demonized. And if they are not hearing the gospel and they refuse to accept it, okay. So going back to what I was saying, Clapperton from Britain traveled 3 months across the Trans-Sahara. That's impressive. To find smelters in Naraguta. They hear it, that's how the British function, and they start moving. 3 months all through Sahara. That's how important what this man is looking for is for him. 3 months. Maybe you go with camel. Yeah, because then, this is 1808. There were no cars then now. So he has to go with camel. You don't mind buying one, get water, know where the oasis is, know the route, and so on and so forth. Equip himself. He will suffer, but he went through that. They will send their people, they move. Or if it's our people, they will keep blaming you. What are you going there for to look for? This, that. And I'm saying it because I grew up like that. I knew exactly what is going on. Where if you follow a path, somebody jumps you, oh, you come home, you know what they'll do? They'll blame you. So why did you follow that path? Why didn't you go out? So why did you go out this time? Why did you this, that? Yeah, they quite know that the people attacking you is wrong. I know that they want you to do something more sensible. But for goodness sake, when you keep doing that, what happens is that you demoralize that person from even knowing what is right, that he will be even afraid of his own shadow. That is what this thing is making us say. Enough of that demoralization. Stop demoralizing people by asking them why is it. Yeah, next time we'll be careful, we know what to do. But those people that attacked you, they need to be dealt with. That's what they say. We have to deal with them. Why should they attack anybody who hasn't done anything to you? It's time the Igbo speak up that way. Not using just commission to clear something up. Oh, we set up a private commission. Political talk. Because you want Igbo presidency of 2023. What will Igbo presidency, how will the Igbo presidency of 2023 deliver us from that problem we have there in Nigeria? And that's why Nigerians are smart. They are talking about, because Nigeria, like I told you, Nigerians, a lot of them are very wicked people. Very wicked people. They are satanic. They leave the problem, which they know is the structure and system of Nigeria. They are talking about Igbo presidency. Like that is the problem. That's going to solve the problem. Yeah, because they know if they give Igbo presidency, and before the president, they will send him to go and swear an oath in the north. After swearing oath, you sit there, and after, let's say they give you 8 years. After 8 years of nothing, because they will bring a crook. The Fulani knows these games. That's the games they play. These people are devilish, I'm telling you. They're evil. You see me holding myself back and calling them evil because the records are there for everybody to see. You know, very evil people. They will go and get the worst in your society, put them there. So, okay, now you have Igbo president. That Igbo president has sworn oath to obey them. Not to you. Oath to obey them. Oath to the devil that they worship. And then he'll stay there they'll keep him there like a dummy for 8 years, where nothing goes on. No development, nothing. The same thing that you have seen going on in Nigeria since 1960. Darkness everywhere. Because they are the ones ruling from the north. They call themselves what? Born to rule, isn't it? Yes. It's all about Islam and conquest and dominance. That's all. No, you don't find anything positive in their society. Look at how ravaged their society is. And these people have the mouth to be talking, boasting. That this person, the NBA said they will not have, what is his name? El Rufai in Kaduna. He will not be one of the speakers because he could not handle security issue in Kaduna State. And that makes him a controversial, will be a controversial guest. The lawyers wrote and said they will not come. That they will, some of them began to deregister from going to that NBA conference. Do you know that the Fulani people, a lot of them jumped out, including their lawyers, and they are talking about, we're going to have the Northern Nigerian Bar Association. These people are not in, they are living in another world. And we are telling you that. Despite all the people that are slaughtering and taking their land, they are still talking boldly to you. That look at how ravaged their land is. They still have the boldness to talk. Oh, don't blame Buhari for. There's one governor then that said you shouldn't blame Buhari for so and so. That's why we wonder that these people, are they human beings at all? Are they human beings at all? Then they cry that they cry talking about somebody called them subhuman. You think you are the only one who has the guts to chop somebody's head off. Wait until this thing you're stoking when it starts. You will see how confident you are. Complete evil people. And when I say complete, 120%. They need deliverance. That's the only way they can come out. So when people who reason this way, instead of, all the money that goes to the north comes from Biafra land, oil money from Biafra land. They will take more, take again, take more. Then it's never enough for them. Let me go back again to Clapperton. By 1820, Colonel Lewis from Britain was ordered to sample production at that time. It was not known that tin was being used for Spain was using the tin for gun barrels. See what they were using tin for? Gun barrels. Gun where there is power. And I keep telling my people, after God, you talk about the military. Because I'm telling you, if you don't have your own military to protect yourself, that is why they are fighting to make sure that the Southeast does not have a collective South security outfit. And our governors are helping them. They are working for them because they went somewhere and took oath to the devil. If you take oath to the devil or take bribe from somebody or take it, that devil will enter you because you have given him the authority to do so. You can't be bold enough to talk anymore. You can't be bold enough to resist somebody who gave you bribe. That's why it's important that you don't take it in the first place. Because once you take it, you start singing, you start talking rubbish. This is what is happening to our leaders, political leaders. So even though that you have our Motekun in the West already set up, they refuse to set up their own because they are listening to their masters, the Fulani master. You see Adamu, the Fulani Inspector General of Police, running around left and right and center, telling Umahi that he cannot do it. Umahi himself is a man of very unscrupulous characteristics as a human being. In Ebonyi State, the governor of Ebonyi State. Very unscrupulous. Everything against his people, he will stand up for it. Yeah, because he has entered into a treaty with the Fulani. Now we build mosques for them left and right and center. Our people are now converts of Islam. Can you imagine that? This is also jihad going on. And we are pretending as if everything is right. In 1848, the Royal Niger Company was established in 1848. By 1902, British spectators obtained licenses from Britain. By 1908, when they say they obtained licenses, I wonder who gave you the right to obtain license to go and mine something somewhere else. They just give themselves the right and then start operation immediately. Obtain license from Britain. Is that British land? Why should you, say that Britain gave you license? The people who should give you license are Biron people now. That's where you should get the license from, not from Britain. He says, by 1908, the British bought land for money and leaders of the community would sell. You see? And if you don't sell, they know how to coax you and make it impossible for you. Because they want that thing. All this one, they say, we bought it. Oh, we signed agreement with traditional rulers. Hogwash. Hogwash. It is just they say, oh, we're protectorate, British protectorate. This is the agent. You see the name they gave it, protectorate. We are protecting this region. This is lying just straight out of their mouth. You're protecting it for yourself, not the people there. This was occurring during World War I as the need for tin increased for the use of ammunition. You see, the tin from Jaws supplied what they used to fight, the ammunition they used to fight in World War I. The British began to introduce currency and shovels. The tin would be dug up and carried. Tin was also discovered in the hills as well as the rivers. The ethnic Hausas were hired as the supervisors while the ethnic Yoruba and Igbo were brought in because there were sufficient workers. You see that? The Igbos and Yoruba came in as workers. The ethnic Hausa were hired even as supervisors. But I don't think that is correct. They were more hired as miners because Tanko Yakasai said it exactly, that by 1909 in his book, that they had already started hiring Hausa people to go and work in the mine. Not as supervisors, as miners. What are they supervising? Are they educated? It would have been the Igbo or Yoruba that was supervised, by the way. By 1913, 108 mining companies had to go through the Royal Niger Company. 108, you see that? So the railway was discovered from Zaria to Lagos, they built the railway from Zaria to Lagos for the export of tin, see, from Zaria to Lagos. By 1943, tin mining on the Jos Plateau was at its peak. There were 80,000 African workers. Up to 1960, Jos was the 6th largest producer of tin in the world. So you see how they set that, they set up a rail line to Lagos and to Port Harcourt in order to siphon the resource of steam from Jos. And that is how you see Hausa people come down there. But it wasn't only Hausa people that came to Jos. Igbo came to Jos. Yoruba came to Jos. And before you know it, who was giving trouble? Who was fighting with the natives of the land? Was it Yoruba fighting with the natives of the land? Was it Igbo people fighting with the natives of the land? The answer is no, no. Who was fighting with the people of the natives of the land? It was the Hausa Fulani who was fighting to the natives of the land with Peron. Hausa, the same people. When I'm talking about Islam, and that is the danger of allowing people to migrate into your land, as the ones you have in the East today. They are not there to live peacefully. Forget it. Look at history, which is what we're showing you. You must drive them out of there if you want your children and your children's children to survive in peace. I don't care the businesses they are doing, they have to go. If you keep getting deceived by the devil, you know, when we talk about lying is not only when you kill somebody and you said no, or you stole somebody's something. Lying is also when you are pretending to say the truth, but you know you are not, because you want to sound like somebody who is kind. You want like say, oh, leave them now, it is okay, this, that, something that you know that eventually it will kill so many people. You are a liar. Mark me, before God and man, you are a liar. You know you are lying. They need to be driven out of there. They will be driven out of that land. Yeah, let the Igbo people in the north, let them come home if they want. They should. By the way, the north is not only owned by the Hausa Fulani, or the Fulani in particular, because they are the ones who are leading all these conquest moves everywhere. And that is why you see in Vanguard of July 16, 2012, the Baron said, we lost 10,000 people to Fulani attacks. 10,000 to Fulani attack. I'll read a little bit of this information. It says the Baron of Plateau State say they have lost over 10,000 people and property worth more than 180 billion naira to Fulani herdsmen since the attacks began. Fulani herdsmen, same people everywhere. Fulani herdsmen. Yet they are talking. Yet to them they are right. They are bold, assertive, with all their violations and aggression and all their wicked and insidious actions all over the land. They have the temerity, the audacity, the gumption to talk about, oh, you know, we are right. Stop calling us criminal. Stop calling. You see, when I tell you that Islam is terrible, this is what Islam produces in people who say they believe in it. That's an example. You all know anyways. It's not as if you don't know what we're saying, but we need to broadcast it so the whole world can hear it. Yes. He says this was disclosed by the chairman of the Baron community in Abuja, Mr. Peter Guy, who told journalists in Jos that his people have always been at the receiving end of the attack and were always having to react to defend themselves. This is the man telling you in 2012. Remember when the Fulani came on, 1909? They are still attacking. He said, have always been. The attack is not, you don't just start yesterday in 2012. They keep attacking. They still killing, trouble everywhere. That is what you have in Igbo land. For all these Fulani, so-called Fulani Hausa people, you are allowed to come in there and settle, except you uproot them from there. They must be uprooted, I'm telling you, if you're to have it, if you are to have that land. Otherwise, by the next 50 years, next 60 years, I'm telling you, with most of you would have gone out in exile, and your land, your father's house will be taken over by these people. Check what we are saying, whether it's true or not, because the time will come, nobody will say it anymore. We will go to do other things of this. But check it. If it is a lie, give us a call, tell us, contact us, tell us why it's a lie. Because we like to know too, we like to learn. Let us learn from you. But here you see, settling these people eventually give problems to Durham people, and it's giving them problems up till now. If you see the amount of attacks, by 2004, Christian Association of Nigeria and Plateau State made a declaration of state. There was a state of emergency in Plateau by the President of the Republic then, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, which was on Tuesday, 18th May 2014. The proclamation and this date of emergency rule on Plateau State by the President of the Republic of Nigeria was on, and then was followed by subsequent appointment of sole administrator Major General retired Chris Mohammed Ali. So the Christian Association of Nigeria in Plateau State, delivered a statement to that effect as well, in response to that effect. He says here, the church has come under constant violent attacks, and Christians have been killed or maimed in their thousands. It is this reason that we as a church have deemed it important to sound an alarm that the said declaration of a state of emergency by suspending a democratically elected and legitimate government in Plateau State is only a smokescreen heralding future event that may later unfold. I think Obasanjo did that state of emergency to impress the North, because whenever they fight and they are defeated, they run to their servant. Obasanjo served them, so he decided to give a state of emergency, which the Christians were not, of course, knew. So they delivered an official response to it, a statement. It is also sad to point out that what our detractors could not achieve since 200 years ago, when in 1804 Usman Dan Fodio launched his jihad on ethnic minorities of the North, is now largely being achieved through exploiting constitutional loopholes, cantankerous political atmosphere, and our loose democratic culture. You see, since 1804, they've been trying to conquer the Christians in the Middle Belt and the North. What is regarded today as a protracted crisis in the state that led to the proclamation of the state of emergency on the 18th May 2004 is traced to the creation of Just North and Just South out of the defunct Just Local Government Authority. You see, they created Just North and Just South in September 1991 during the regime of military President Ibrahim Babangida. In fact, sorry about that. Excuse me. In fact, the exercise, which was highly condemned by the indigenous tribes, gave the Hausa Fulani Muslims an upper hand, as the said creation was at their instance. In 1994, during the late Sani Abacha, a Hausa Fulani man was imposed to head the local administration in Jos, which was opposed by indigents. You see that? Because they're empowered, they impose their own people, or they impose your own people whom they have initiated to serve them. Like Uzodim Maho in Imo State. The man is not hope at all, it's hopeless. So we see it happening here too. The strong resistance against the appointment snowballed into a fracas that later escalated and took away many lives, including the burning of houses and places of worship. In 1997, 10th April, there was another skirmish that broke out in Gero Bukuru, a suburb of Jos. This Bukuru was where the Igbo were killed in 1945. The British instigated them to attack the Igbo. Why? Because the NCNC demanded that workers should be equally paid, that Nigerian workers should not be treated different from the British. And it was, the papers took it, like West African Pilot and so on and so forth. The British, the challenge to the British, they didn't like it. Eventually, they instigated them to attack the Igbo. They attacked the Igbo in 1945. This is Bukuru, Jos. Where the first attack was in 1945, when Nigeria was under colonial rule. Following a disagreement over the plucking of the garden egg that resulted later in killing. Can you imagine plucking of garden egg? Just as the Gero community clash was taking place on the same day, a communal clash in Shanghai, in Mangu local government, reared its head, and lives and properties went up in flames. Also in Langtang North, a little fracas broke out that later left the warring communities of Lomak and Sabon Lai in a pool of blood on the 22nd February 1977. In Quan Pan, following the return to civil rule in 1999, marauders believed to have come from Chad Republic invaded and killed a Christian man and some members of his family on 27th March 2001. The marauders are said to be mercenaries who were brought in by the Nigerian collaborators. You see, they will always go and bring their brothers from the north, from Niger and Chad. It's always happened. During the Civil War, they brought Godo from Niger and Chad as well. You know, we call them Godo. And of course, they were massacred in hell of only God knows what he did to them. So, and this is the event leading to the declaration of the state of emergency. 2nd May 2004, on this date, 2 Christian women were murdered in cold blood. The victims were returning to their homes since they left Yewa Shendam following the February 24, 2004, when the slaughtering of 48 Christians took place in the church and the burning down of 8 churches. Following the Christians and the vacation of Yewa Shendam by all non-Muslims and Muslims in February, subsequently declared the town as part of Zamfara state, the first state to adopt Sharia as the Islamic legal system in 1999, by which the lives of all citizens in that state were to be governed irrespective of religious persuasion. The declaration marked a mock celebration of an independent state of Zamfara and the hoisting of the posters of the Saudi Arabia-born fugitive Osama bin Laden and leader of the Al-Qaeda terrorist group that attacked the Twin Towers of the WTC in New York in 9/11/2001. In fact, the mock celebration was to mark the total eradication of the infidels and all that belongs to them, including 8 churches that were burned to ashes. They're always attacking churches. See that? Yeah, and destruction of churches. It's symbolic of what Islam has for all of us if we do not stand up against it. Before the reprisal attacks by the aggrieved and displaced persons took place the next day, 3rd May 2004, where about 67 Muslims were killed, there had always been silent killings of the Christian natives in surrounding villages. These villages comprising Nsha, Bakin Siawa, Ajikamai, Lakushin Tumbi, Tugung, Gedo, Mangoro, and Pandam villages who were targets of the Muslim fundamentalists in Yelwa Shendam. This was in spite of the heavy security mounted in the area. In fact, it is well known fact that the raid in these villages was systematically carried out, and to some extent with the knowledge of some of the security men who were Muslims. These terror attacks continued unchecked, leading to the killings of 4 mobile policemen who were sent to go and investigate an earlier report that some Muslim militias were training at Shimanka in Shendam local government. In fact, the raid in Yaimni village in 22nd February 2004 left the village completely razed down. Preceding this was the attack on Amale village, the 12th February 2004, when the security men were tactfully dislodged in Wase town and the border villages of Dowi, Yaudara, Kirim, Hamale, and Samia. Most Christians were affected in these raids, with casualty figure rising to about 50, as well as stealing away of their 46 bicycles and a motorcycle, with their houses burned down completely. The figure of the reprisal killings of Yelwash and Dam was put at 67 people and not 630, as was widely overblown in some national dailies, especially Daily Trust and the international media BBC, Reuters, Deutsche Welle, VOA, CNN, and Sky News. Yelwash and Dam crisis of 3rd May 2004, while ignoring that what triggered it on May 2nd was not only calculated at tarnishing the corporate image of the state, but was directed at sacrificing Plateau to placate some powerful interest groups. Such interest groups are represented by the Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, their militant youth wing, the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs, and the Council of Ulamas, who had earlier paid a courtesy call on Mr. President on the 11th May 2004 and demanded for a declaration of state of emergency in Plateau State. So these are the people that Obasanjo sought to appease because he served them. Even though in his last administration, he tried to extricate himself from their control. That is why they established the Sharia law by 2001. Yerima himself. Yerima was the governor of Zamfara State. So in September 2001, he instituted the Sharia law in Sokoto State. And eventually 18 other states in the north followed suit. I would like some comments from our panel. I have Mazi Ahmed Flokando is here. The crisis in the north, how the British came and established their businesses, basically. Because that's why we say Nigeria is a business. You know, yes, we should understand that. And to exploit team all the way from 1902 to 1916. And then they did the same actually in Enugu for coal, 1908, and established railways to those seaports from where they would take those coals to their land. You know, and they paid nothing to us. You know, what is that? So Mazi Ahmed Flukando, if you can hear me, Mazi Ahmed Flukando is a veteran, and he has been able to, he even experienced some of this history that we are unraveling to you today, you know, and he's an authority on this issue. Yeah, thank you, Mazi Ahmed Flukando. You can go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. You can go ahead. You may go ahead.
All right. Yeah, much more. Thank you very much. It's very interesting, all the information you have provided today. You mentioned, coincidentally, you mentioned Jos regarding Tin, and also Bukuru and all the other surrounding areas, Fairfield and so on. Coincidentally, that was where my father was killed. So you can see that the story today, the information, the history today directly affects me. And that's why, honestly, I'm always very, very emotional because I know what our people went through over there. Yes, Jos is Plateau, and Plateau is the best area for the British to settle in. It's such a nice place. You have Yolwa, you have Redfield, and all those places. I grew up there, was born there. So I have a little bit of idea. Let me humble myself to say I have a little bit of idea. Because my father was a businessman. I was involved in the business. So we move around. As a small child, I moved around. I could remember I had, as a matter of fact, I had one of the white boys, Tony. He used to be my friend. We go over there, we play and so on. But the British, they have their own plans. They took over Nigeria. And so many things we don't even know. That is why I am never unhappy or talk down on any Nigerian about what has happened in Nigeria. Because everything was shielded from us. Completely shielded. We didn't know anything. And that's why for me, I'm always very curious. As much as I can learn, just like you, Mazi Amangalo, I thank you for for your studiousness. You provide us with a lot of information. And thank God for Radio Biafra International, we have decided that our own part, our own contribution towards the extricating ourselves from Biafra is to provide provide information, update our people, and enlighten our people that is what we are going to take. And we're not going to renege on that. We'll constantly be providing that information, taking a more neutral position, and energizing anybody until we get get to the point that they will get our Biafra. There is nothing to talk about. The whole of Nigeria has been Islamized for a long time, but we didn't know. And I'm telling you, that's why we have to be very, very sympathetic to one another. We were blocked from knowing our information, from knowing our history, from knowing anything about us. And while this thing was going on, seed of discord was constantly being planted both by the Fulanese and the British, because when they came, because that is more of the middle belt and so on, they started striking deals to favor them against our own people. But because our forefathers did not even understand the history, they were easily fooled. We are not going to allow that to continue. My brethren, we are not going to allow it to continue. So the most important aspect of Radio Biafra today, Radio Biafra International, is to take that position of information provision, of education, of enlightenment. We'll constantly do this until we get rid of the Fulanese from Nigeria. I'm saying from Nigeria because these people are no good. All they want is for themselves. They don't care about anybody. They want it for themselves. Anywhere they go, they must foment trouble. They must plant seed of discord among the place so that brothers and brothers will be fighting and they will be enjoying the booty. I'm calling upon the whole of Nigeria, especially with what I read this morning, that the Northerners, the Nigerian Bar Association, they have created the northern version of it. I am praying just like I was praying during the situation. Let the Southern Nigerian Bar Association, let them use this to extricate ourselves from that Nigeria. That's all I'm calling for. As far as Nigeria is concerned, there must be war. I don't care how anybody sees it. From the day I decided I'm going to join Biafra, the people that introduced myself, are you guys ready? Because they have here and everybody should be prepared for it. And I go. And one day there was a lady that posted something on the distance, what do you call it, on WhatsApp. She was saying blatantly, let me not say it here, but let's leave it. Our people should start getting ready. Okay? We don't want to go frontal right now until we go the way we went during 1967, because we had to go underneath to be able to secure, kill, and get the weapons. So I don't like this idea of people coming to say, oh, we don't have weapons. No. During the 1967 war, we started with about 105 to 120 Mark IV guns. That's what we used until we started killing and then, getting the weapons. That's what we are going to do now. Yes, they're in total control of the government, of security, of armory, and everything. And are we going to say, because we don't have weapons, we are going to just allow ourselves to be treated like slaves in our own place? No, we have to think outside the box on how to do this. Mistakes have been made. Mistakes have been made here and there. We have had saboteurs, people who don't believe in our cause. They have been implanted, just like a Imo governor who is fought in the election. But the Supreme Court decided to pull him from fort to impose him on the people. So there are so many things we must fight. That was how we fought during 1967. I was the youngest naval marine officer. I wasn't, and I will keep on repeating it. We fought. We started empty-handed. So I am calling on everybody here, okay? That's why when they start talking about this, and I say, why don't we stop all this contribution, giving it to, say, like you say, you give it to IPO, this girl in Germany, and they're using the money to do anything they want to do. Send this money first and foremost to your vigilante in your village. Let them use it, and let us start thinking about the operational aspect of this fight. Because we are doing a component of this fight that is necessary. Provision of information. Then we have the operational people who are there. We have other people who are writers and so on. This war has so many components. You have to determine which one you want to take. If you're at home, start finding a way, start finding something you can use to defend yourself. Because as far as I'm concerned, with all the weapons they have brought to the South, we must take it from them and get rid of them. That's how I'm going to end this, Mazi Moyalo. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you, our own Mazi Ameflu Kando, a veteran. It is indeed very touchy, the information that you're giving here. I told you, listeners, he has the experience. As he's saying that his father has this experience in Jos. He was one of the people that moved to Jos at that period. And then he fought in the war, a soldier, an officer within the Biafran Navy. And I want to also say that, look, all this fear about your enemy and giving excuses why you shouldn't stand up against your enemy, also understood that Biafran forces dealt a heavy blow on their enemies. You need to know that. The Biafran defense was something else, And if they had, if they had not left Lagos, if they had taken control, the resources in Lagos would have been enough to win that. They went running everywhere. That is why those people took on us, because we were running. We were running. This time around, no running. We can organize ourselves in groups, and these ones will help this, be connected to each other. And then, when you get running, they get chasing you just like a wild animal, a beast. They didn't leave you just because we were running. Okay, that's okay. It's like when they started killing officers in the West, mainly Igbo officers and the North. The Igbo officers could not organize themselves and fight back. Why? That's a question. That is a question to ask. When you fight to defend yourself, you save lives. Don't like those who died saved us. That is why all this selfish braggadocio and all the rest, it doesn't make sense. Because somebody else died for you. Why are you bragging? Why are you selfish? And we're not saying you go and die as a fool. No, nobody wants to die as a fool. But we want a situation where you can be connected with your people, you can do the right thing. Remember, none of us is going to be here on earth forever. But about 100 years, and that's it. You go. And it's not as if you're being on earth. So what you're on earth to do is to please God, period. You're not on earth for yourself. That is why it is all this living for ourselves that is very disgusting us to act like people who worship idols. No. Be connected. We've said it so many times. Be involved in your town union, wherever you are all over the world. This is something Ohaneze could have done to organize all the people around to understand. But Ohaneze is simply an organization where people they are appointed by governors who are pay their allegiance to Fulani people in federal government. And because they worship positions, they are using those leverages, using them as political leverage to seek appointments in the center in Abuja. And why is that so? Because you, Ndigbo, my people, you go ahead and keep worshiping people because they have appointment. This person is minister of that. Look, respect a man simply for what he does, not the appointment he holds, not the title he holds. No. But what he does, what is he doing? Is he upright? Is he righteous? How does he do things? That is how honor comes to a man in Igbo land. Not just comes simply because he has money. That thing is destroying our society. How far have we gone since we embraced that rubbish? How far have we gone as a people today? Ask yourself that question. Now more people have money than ever. Then what? So what? And okay, you just go your own way. The other person goes, and then that's it. Because nobody wants to be entertained by braggadocio, I'm telling you. So if you're doing things and you're not humble enough to manage the blessings that God has given you, then it's useless, completely useless. You know? Thank you so much, Mazi Hamefla, for what you have given us. And I want to add, before I bring in Chuksi Kerigwe, this information, remember that information we gave about Jaws? Now, this is also what is still happening today. And it was quite interesting to read what this one is National Christian Elders Forum said. This is Vanguard of Friday, July the 14th, 2017. This is 2 years ago. And it says, avert another war. Danjuma, Dogonyaro, Leport, and others won. Danjuma was one of the people that killed Aguirre. Danjuma served the Islamic North. Now his people are in danger. Dogonyaro, the same thing. And Leport, the same thing. But now they're crying to avert another war. And then he says retired military generals and other Christian elders under the aegis of National Christian Elders Forum, NCF, have expressed sadness that Nigeria was drifting towards a needless conflict that could culminate into another war, if not well managed. General Joshua Dogonyaro retired, General Zamani Lekwa retired, and General T.Y. Danjuma retired, rising from a meeting in Abuja where it reviewed unfolding events in the country. The NCF, a group of eminent Christian elders, including Elder Solomon Asemota, General Joshua Dogonyaro, General Zamani Lekwot, Elder Moses Ihonde. Moses Ihonde happens to be sort of a personal staff to Yakubu Gowon during the war in Dodon Barad. Moses Ihonde. There's a book he wrote, The Final Call. I studied that book, and you can see all the lies that Moses Ihonde amassed over there. It's unbelievable. I marked all of them out. You know, this man was claiming that